screen. So you might just need to give it permission. So today's class we are going to do a little bit focused around the knees to help release pain, but also activate the muscles around the knees that give us some support. So we will, as we always do, use our spiky ball to roll out our feet, and a Pilates ball if you have one, and if not, a cushion. So settle into your body. When you're rolling out your feet, we always stand tall through our hip. We keep our breath nice and smooth, and we pay attention to what's going on at the soles of our feet, both in the balancing foot and the foot that you're massaging. So we want to take note of places that are feeling a bit tight, feeling a bit uncomfortable, so that we can ease them out and feel more comfortable and stronger in our bodies. And until we bring awareness in, we quite often can miss things, or we don't really reflect on what we've been doing. We don't always know where the pain and discomfort has come from. If you are happy you have rolled out your feet enough, and I encourage you to do this often, daily, ideally, a couple of times a day, even better. But when you're ready to, you can pop the ball to the side. So if you've got a tennis ball, you could use a tennis ball instead of the Pilates ball at certain points in class. If you've got a spiky ball, then that might be uncomfortable. So let's check out how it feels to come into alignment. So feet roughly hip width apart, tall through the crown of the head, chin forward down, ribs tucked in, ear, shoulder, hip, knee, ankles stacked, pelvis in a neutral position. So maybe do a couple of pelvic tilts forward and back and find where it feels like it's in the middle. Notice how much effort is in your body to hold this posture. So if there's a lot of effort here, then our body's going to want to come out of it as quickly as possible. So notice where it feels effortful, and we'll try and ease that out through class so that coming into the alignment starts to feel more natural and easier for your body. We go through our lymphatic flush to get the fluids moving. So let's start up at the left collarbone, above and below the collarbone, giving that a bit of a massage. So we rub and move the tissue side to side or up and down or round in circles 5 to 10 times, depending on whether it feels tight, and then gently patting just firmly enough that you feel that you can hear my voice. My voice is vibrating a little bit. That's as much pressure as you need on the tapping. I'm just going to move the microphone so I don't slap onto it. So once you've done the left side, we then go to the right. Once you've done the collarbones, we then go up to the neck. So just where the jaw meets the skull at the back of the ear, coming down the side of the neck. And then once you've gone there, we go to the shoulder, so where the upper arm meets the chest, into that crease, around the shoulder head and a little bit into the armpits. Quite a large area that I want to cover here. It's a junction point that it's very commonly gets bunged up, especially if we have posture that rounds forward. So we one side and then the other. And once you've done shoulders, we go to the stomach. So finding the navel, finding the belly button, above and below. And you can go side to side, up and down, round the circles, get the fingers in, mush it up. And then from there into the groin, so where the thigh meets the pelvis, hip bone to pubic bone, down that line. On both sides, if you're really tight here from sitting a lot, squeeze the backside, lean back, open that joint up. And then from there into the back of the knees. And then standing up, and then we're going to go for a full body tapping. So starting off up at one shoulder, doesn't matter which one. Go down the outside of the arm. So it's a rapid, gentle slap. We don't want to hurt ourselves. But we're noticing as we go through this, if there are heavier parts in our body, and if there are, there might be tight muscles there might be congested limbs. So maybe spending a bit longer there to free things up, or go back and giving it a massage. And then do the same thing on the other side. Down, up the arm, into the armpit, down the side of the body to the hip. And then coming up, going across the chest, down the front of the body. You can raise down the front of the legs. Getting onto the top of the foot and around the ankle. And then coming up the inner leg. And then down the outer legs. And up the back of the legs. Over the back side. Up into the lower back and then to any parts of the back that you can reach. And then bringing the fingertips to the front of the neck and making our way up the neck. Coming along the jawline. And just making your way up your face. Avoiding the eyes, just going around the eye socket. Making your way up over the skull. Come down the back of the neck, onto the top of the shoulders, and then just let the arms come down to the sides. Take a moment just to notice how your body feels. So bringing yourself into alignment, noticing how that feels. Check down the left side of your body. Check down the right side of the body. You might be more aware of one side of the body than you are the other. There might be some tingling sensations, there might be a heaviness, there might be a lightness, warmth, coldness, lots of different sensations that we can feel. Just be observed, be the observer of your body. So let's come down to the soles of the feet and find our tripod points. So moving your weight back and forward, side to side, being quite intentional with this shifting of your weight so that you're making this connection to the soles of the feet. Again, observing any parts that are not responsive and maybe hanging out there, just to make that nervous system connection a little bit stronger. Sometimes it's tight muscles, sometimes it's an injury, sometimes it's the shoes you've been wearing, desensitizes parts of the body. But just by bringing awareness back, we can reconnect to it. So let's get the weight as settled as evenly as you can from left to right, front to back, and notice how this feels. So if there's pain or discomfort somewhere in your body might want to naturally drift away from that. So if there's pain, I would allow the body to drift away. If it just feels a little bit weird that you're not used to standing in this more central point, then we're going to try and realign this central point. So from the soles of the feet, we're connecting down into the floor, but through the crown of the head, we're coming up tall, trying to create space and length in our body. We'll lift the toes, spread the toes wide and bring the toes down. So we're just creating more stimulation in our feet so that we're getting this better sense of grounding through them. You might need to anchor the big toe down and then pull the rest of the toes wide if you're finding it difficult to get that stretch, or you could put a looped resistance band around the big toes and use that to help get a stretch. That can feel quite nice to do if you have one of those bands. And we're going to rock to the outside edges of our feet. So we're getting this stretch down the outside of the ankles, soles of the feet pointing in towards each other. Now, if this is painful, do it one leg at a time. You might need to step the feet slightly wider depending on what's going on for you. Then we're going to come across the soles of the feet and start to turn the soles of the feet out. So again, take the option if you need to do one foot at a time. Oh, it's a tongue tire. Your knees might knock in, so again, you might need to take the feet a little bit wider, depending on what's going on for you. And then let's go across and across. This is just getting more movement into the ankles. Then transferring the weight across the feet. And then let that settle. If your feet are wider, bring them back in. We're going to lift one heel and do a couple of circles in one direction and then a couple of circles in the other. So still working into the ankle, a little bit more into the foot. We're going to tuck the toes under so we're on the knuckles, giving this nice stretch through the front of the foot, through the front of the shin, and a couple of circles in each direction here. And then do the same thing to the other side. Lift the heel, follow the foot in, give it a massage round, a couple of circles in each direction. And then tuck the toes under, get that stretch through the front. Oh, I can feel it. I'm doing that West Highland Way 96-mile challenge between the 1st and the 31st of January. And I can feel that in my shins, my calves. Oh. And then let's bring the feet back in and find our tripod points again. Let's find the connection to the floor. Can we start to imprint the ball of the foot, the heel down to get the lifting in the arches, to draw in, getting that short foot, so trying to draw the ball of the foot and the heel towards each other, keeping the toes long so we're not clawing the toes into the floor. As we get that, we're getting a sense of lifting through the legs, through the pelvic floor, through the abdominal muscles. This is bringing more strength into the posture. You might feel your backside engage a bit more. And we also want to get these upper back muscles engaged, so drawing the shoulder blades towards each other without thrusting the ribs forwards. We want to keep the ribs in. And if this feels like a lot of effort, every now and again come out of it, relax, and then try and come back into it. Seeing how it feels today to come up onto the balls of the feet and slowly back down. Now, if you're wobbling all over the place, you could bring the Pilates ball in and hold it in between the ankles. I'm just going to hold on so I don't fall over as I do this. And that can help give you a little bit more stability in around the feet and the ankles. You could also put, if you were using the tennis ball, you could put the tennis ball, I'm just going to come closer to the camera, so that it's in that little pit underneath the heel, the ankle bone. You could set a tennis ball in there. I don't have one handy to show you, but you could, so your feet would then be closer and then come up and down with the tennis ball in between the heels. So either of those options to come up and down. That's just going to help build a little bit more strength in the feet, strengthen the ankles, strengthen the calves. Check with the rest of the posture that you're still standing nice and tall. And then let that settle. Now we're going to go to the shins, which is not something that we do very often. So I'm just going to tilt the camera around. And we're going to stand with your back side against a wall or a door. Let me move into the other side of me so they're out the way. So feet, your heels are a wee bit away from the wall. You're leaning against the wall and then you're going to pull the toes up. So the rest of the body is not moving. We're just trying to pull the toes and the ball of the foot away from the floor to activate the shins. And if you've never done this before, it can be difficult. So you might need to come a little bit taller. You also might need to adjust the position of your feet. So finding the right spot for you where we can pull the shins, pull the balls of the feet away from the floor to activate the shins. Be sure you're not holding your breath and try not to look down at your feet as you're doing this. Try and keep your posture upright. So you're using a wall or a door as some support here. Ooh, shins might be starting to get warm. And then let that come away. And then just pedal the heels up and down to release that off. So just here, pedaling up and down. Turn the camera back. Okay. Now, balance is going to come into the next one. So if you feel wobbly, lean against something. We're going to bring the leg up and then hold the thigh so that you're taking the weight of the thigh. Now, if you need to do this sitting down, please feel free to sit down. And I want you to try and let your foot and ankle go as loose as you can. You're going to hold on to the knee and try and let the shin just go round in a few circles. Just turn. But try it, it's almost like it's just swinging with momentum, hanging nice and loose. Releasing that off. Bring that down, switch to the other side. So hold the leg up, try and let the foot and ankle go loose. Give it a little shake off. Remember, you can't do this sitting down if you need to, if your balance is not playing with you today. And then let that come down. Now we're going to step one foot in front, just a small step, and then we're going to sit into this back leg, letting the knee bend. So here, sit the hips back, and then come up. So this front knee isn't dropping forward. It's sitting back. So if this front foot is too far forward, you're going to really struggle to get the bend. So it might be that you bring it back. It might be that you come up onto the toe. It might be that you lift it away from the floor. So you're challenging balance even more here, but still always sending the hips back. There should be no discomfort or pain around the knee. If there is, we go down, we go smaller with the movement. So it might be that you're here. Tiny, tiny, tiny movement. I want you to check upper body is staying as upright as you can, not hinging forward here, staying upright. Ooh. That foot that's on the floor, strong through the arch. So we're getting all the muscles in the legs fired up and working here. One more, and then we're going to switch sides. Give your leg a wee shake off if you need it. And we're going to go to the other side. So this foot steps as far forward as feels okay. And then you start to sit the hip back. And how this feels on this side might be different than it did on the other side. So you might bring the foot up, way, or you might not. You might go a little bit deeper in. And if you want to bring the foot up and hold on to something, you can do that. Excuse me. But just keep thinking, sitting the hip back. So this knee is not pushing forward. Let's go for two more if you can. And then give that a wee pedal off. Now, movement that we are used to doing in this standing position, if you've been doing class with me for a while, you can hold on here. Going to take the weight into one leg so that you're tall. Bringing the knee up, bringing it down. When we come up the next time, press the sole of the foot out. Now, as you're pressing the sole of the foot out, you want to squeeze into the thigh. Hold it for a moment, bend the knee, bring it down. And then you're going to go out to the side. So we're bringing it up, you're going out to the side, extend the leg out, squeeze into the thigh. So you might need to keep your leg a little bit lower. Whoops, falling over here. Up, out to the side, extend and squeeze that leg out, squeeze into the thigh. Then we're going to go out behind, so that's going to fire up the backside muscles and the hamstrings down the back of the thigh. So still that same leg. Excuse me. Press the sole of the foot out behind you. Try and squeeze into your backside. And if you're not feeling the backside work, maybe go to the wall and press the sole of the foot into the wall, or the edge of your sofa, the edge of your chair, and press the heel in to help get that muscle activated. And then let's go up. Oops. Out behind, extend the leg out, press through the heel, ear, shoulder, hip, staying stacked. Right in, give it a release off. Go to the other side. So hold on if you need to. Bring the leg up, extend out, squeeze into the thigh, bend the knee, bring it down, doing that again, up, extend out, squeeze into the thigh, press the heel away, bend the knee, bring it in, out to the side, come up, out to the side, extend the leg, squeeze into the thigh, bend the knee, bring it in, and again out to the side, squeeze to the thigh, bring it in, out behind. So first one, we're going to keep the knee bent, squeeze out mid, press that heel into the imaginary wall or into a real wall, fire up the back sides. And then the last one, coming up, we're going out, extending the leg out, press through the heel, your shoulder hips staying stacked. Bring it up, down, and then release it off. Now let's take our feet a little bit wider, so we'll get some mobility into the spine. We're going to go into our lateral flexion, so side bend. Hands to the outsides of the thighs, shoulders are back and down. We're keeping the shoulders in line as they slide over. Weight into the outside legs, so you're getting this opening through the waist. If you want to get the lower side waist fired up a little bit more, reach the arm away. Bring it in and up. Over to the other side, make sure that the top shoulder's not curling forwards. Option to reach that bottom hand away if you wish. So remember, you don't have to add that extending arm in. It doesn't feel right for you today. Let's go one more time to each side. And bring it up. Bring the feet back into about hip width apart. Going to go into spine rotation. We want to keep the legs strong, hips pointing to the front. So this is where Pilates ball pushing in between the thighs can really help here, because that's going to create this strength in the lower half of the body. So we take the arms out. If you've got the space, arms long. If not, cactus. Upper arm bone thrown into the shoulder sockets. So we're squeezing the shoulder blades in towards each other. And then on an exhale, rotate round. Don't let the hips follow. So the more you can squeeze into the Pilates ball, that's going to get the leg muscles fired up. That's going to help. Inhale back to the centre. Exhale, go the other way. Inhale back to the centre. Exhale, rotate. Check those hips are not following. Through the centre. And rotate. Back into the centre. Stack the forearms on top of each other. Top elbow is leading. Shoulder blades sliding in towards the spine. So we target in between the shoulder blades. Again, don't let those hips fall. Inhale back through the centre. Exhale, rotate. When you come back through the centre, switch the arms. One to each side. Switch the arms, one to each side. Keep checking in with those hips that they're not following. Last time, switching those arms. Last one to each side. Bringing it back to the centre, let the arms come down. Now you can keep the ball there to keep working on strengthening the legs. If you're starting to get really tired from it, please do pop the ball down to the side as we move up into the shoulders. Squeeze those shoulders up, back and down. And then let the shoulders settle, coming into table waiter. So still tall through your posture, keeping the ribs tucked in, keeping the pelvis neutral, keeping the chin tucked in. We squeeze the shoulder blades towards each other. We open at the front of the chest. Bring that in, and then open out. Bringing it in, and open out. Let's do two more. Bringing it in, and open out. And in, and one more time, opening out. And bring that back into centre. Let the arms come down. But if you've not got your ball in between your thighs, pop your ball back in between your thighs. We're going to stand tall and then start to set both hips back and then bring ourselves back up. Sitting the hips back and bringing ourselves up. Can we stay tall through the crown of the head? Keeping the lower back long as we send the tailbone down towards the floor and don't push the knees forward. So that might mean that you stay up in this top movement. It might be that you hold on to a door frame or hold on to the back of a chair as you come down and back up to give yourself some support if that's what you need. But as much as you can, sit those hips back. Let's do 2 more. And on the last one, whatever range you're going down to, we're going to hold it for a count of 5 if you can. So come into position, draw the tummy muscles in. Make sure any discomfort in the lower back that you're not extending the tailbone out, the tailbone slightly under. Keep drawing the tummy muscles in for another 2. And 1. And stand it all the way up. Take ball or cushion out, give the legs a little pedal up and down. Keep this handy because we are going to use it again. We're going to make our way down onto the floor. If you can, come down without using your hands, and if your neck is tight today, make sure that you use a cushion or a pillow underneath your head. Just going to change the angle of the camera, excuse me. And make your way down onto your back. We're still going to use your Pilates ball if you have one. So ball or cushion in between the thighs. Feet down about whatever distance apart you need to be, that you can get a little bit of engagement in the inner thighs as you place into your ball or cushion. We're checking into the rest of the posture, so we want the neck long, skull is at an angle that the chin is lowered towards the chest without straining the neck muscles. And if your chin just starts to gradually float away, put the hip pillow in at the back of the head. Check into the chest. Can we let that be open? Can we let the shoulder blades drop down to the floor? So the angle at your hands, you might be palms face down, you might be pinkies rested on the floor. See which one feels more comfortable for your chest and shoulders. We want the ribs tucked in, having a giggle, doing a huff breath as if you're steaming up a mirror can help draw those ribs in. And then we're using tummy muscles to help hold them in place. We want pelvis to roughly be in a neutral position. It's not super important right now, so we're going to go into shoulder bridge, taking it out of we're going to be taking it out of neutral anyway, so we don't need to worry too much about that. Check that your feet can press down into the floor, that you can feel the muscles in the legs activate. Can you draw the tummy muscles in, press the shoulder blades down into the floor, and then start to go into shoulder bridge. On an exhale, pelvic floor engages, lower tummy muscles engages, we flatten the lower back into the floor. That tucks the tailbone, we squeeze the backside to hold that tailbone tuck. And then start to lift the spine away from the floor. Only rolling up as high as you can keep the tailbone tucked. The tailbone starts to untuck, you stop and roll back down. At your end point, take an inhale. As you're exhaling, slowly roll all the way back down. And then doing that again. So moving on the exhale if you can. We're thinking about drawing in, creating that engagement. We're pressing the feet, the shoulder blades down. We're keeping the back of the neck long. So we check in that your chin isn't floating away from the chest. As you're taking an inhale, can you press the feet and the shoulder blades down a little bit more? That might give you a tiny bit more height, but keep the backside engaged so that the spine stays long. And then as you're exhaling, roll that back down. So the more we can press the feet in, the more we can engage the muscles in the backside, the more we're going to get all the muscles in the legs fired up and working here to build some strength in them. Now, if you're feeling discomfort in the knees as you do this, try your feet in a slightly different position. It might be that you need to turn them out, you might need to bring the heels closer, you might need to move the heels further away from the backside. So just finding what feels good for you to get a good strong muscle engagement. Now the next one, we're going to stop at the top. So the top is the top of your posture. We're going to keep that tailbone tucked. We're going to hold it here. And then see if we can lift one heel up and then press it down into the floor. So imagine that you're trying to burst a ball or a balloon under your heel and really press down as hard as you can. That's going to fire up these muscles in the back of the thighs, which helps stabilise our knees. We want to check that the pelvis isn't drooping from side to side, so backside staying strong here is going to help. And if you're not sure, bring your hands onto your hips, just have a wee feel what's happening. It's okay to give your body a little bit of support when it needs it. But can you pull that heel up and squeeze and press it down? Now if your muscles cramp at any time, take a breather, give them a stretch off, give them a wee massage, get the blood flowing to them again, and then try and come back in. Muscles cramp and there's not enough blood going to them. There's usually not enough blood going to them when they're weak and underused. And just by paying attention to them, giving them a massage helps that blood flow and then helps us be able to actually use them. Right, check that your backside hasn't started to droop. I've got mine doing it, that's what made me think of it. And let's go one more of these heel pulses to each side. And then slowly roll back down. And we're going to take a wee breather here. So you can take your cushion or ball out, hug the knees in, give your body whatever movement feels nice. And then we're going to bring the feet back to the floor. Take a moment to find your alignment. So we do want the pelvis to be in neutral now. You can put your ball cushion off to the side. You want the shoulder blades pressed down. You want the ribs tucked in. The neck is long. We're finding our neutral place for the pelvis. So maybe tilt forward and back a few times. And then bring it into the space that feels like it's flat. If it helps, you can place your hands onto your hip bones here. We're going to extend one leg out. Have the leg long, toes pointed towards the ceiling. Other foot is pressing into the floor to help keep this pelvis area stable. Abdominal muscles are also helping keep the pelvis and the ribs stable. The long leg, one part of the breath, we're picking the leg up. Bringing the sole of the foot parallel to the ceiling. So if your hamstring at the back of the thigh is really tight, just let the knee be as bent as it needs to be. Slowly take that leg all the way back down, keeping the pelvis really steady. Then bringing that leg back up. And then taking that leg back down. Bringing it up. And taking it down. Now we're still staying on this leg, but when we come up to the top, we're going to move the leg out to the side. And then bring it in. And then take it back down. Now, as the leg is moving out to the side, what I want you to have a wee look at is your kneecap. And check that your kneecap is not rolling away from you. We want to keep the kneecap facing you, so we're not rolling the thigh out as we move the leg out to the side and as we bring it back in. So bringing it up, keep the kneecap looking at you as you move the leg out to the side. Bring it back in, bring it all the way down. So this is just to help get the muscles around the pelvis, around the hips stabilised. We're doing that one more time here. And out to the side, bring it back in, lower it down. Let the leg rest. We can rock and roll that thigh now. Give it some movement. Stretch out in any way that feels nice to stretch. And then we're going to switch to the other side. So bring that leg that you've just been working so that the foot's on the floor. Find this connection, tripod points. Extend the other leg out, press through the sole of the foot. So again, check into the pelvis. We're back in a neutral position. Rest of the body's engaged to keep that stability. Long leg, one part of the breath is lifting up. And your hamstring might be tighter on this side, so you might need to bend your knee as you come up. And then slowly control lower that back down. The muscles of the leg, muscles of the backside are helping here. We're bringing that leg up, one part of the breath up, and one part of the breath as we go back down. Remember, your hands can be on your pelvis to help. Just check in that we're not rocking about here. Especially if the hamstrings tight. So if the hamstrings tight, the pelvis might tilt out of neutral just to give you that range of movement. But we don't want it to do that because we want to get a wee bit of a stretch into our hamstring here so that it works efficiently. Right, this time when we come up, we're pausing at the top and we're going to move out to the side. So again, look at the thigh, check that it's not rolling away from you, the kneecap's still facing you. Take it out, bring it in, bring it down. Range of movement might be different on this leg as you go out to the side. We're keeping the pelvis steady, keeping that knee looking at us. Bring it in, take it down. Check you're not holding your breath. Stay steady with the breath. We've got 2 more of these to go if you can. Just bring it up. Take it out to the side. Keep an eye on that knee. Bring it in and take it down. And last one. Out to the side. Ooh, bring it in. Take it down, control it all the way. Once the heel comes in contact, slowly let the body relax. Give it a stretch. Whatever this side needs, and it might be different to what the other side needs in terms of movement and stretching. And let's bring our feet back into a standing position. So if you have your ball handy, we're going to use it again. This can be either the Pilates ball or the tennis ball. We're going to bring one knee up into tabletop and then put the knee in, put the ball in at the back of your knee. And then the thigh is going to move away from you as the heel taps to the floor and comes back up. So just by gripping onto the ball at the back of the knee, that's going to fire up muscles that we want to work here. We want to keep the pelvis still as we hinge at the hip, tapping the foot down and pulling back up into tabletop. Tapping the foot down, pulling back up into tabletop. Tapping down into tabletop 2 more times. Down. Check the rest of your posture. Last one. And release. And then you're going to switch to the other side. So fall into the back of the knee, hold it on tight, taking it down and back to tabletop. So one part of the breath as you go down, next part of the breath as you come back up. Check that the ribs are still in, that the neck is long, that the chin's lowered down, shoulder blades are pressing into the floor. Got 1 more to go. And then you can let that rest. So giving your legs, your body, whatever release, whatever movement feels nice for them here. Now we're going to come up to a seated position. Now if you find it challenging to sit with a nice tall straight back here, get a cushion or a yoga block or sit in a chair so that your hips are a little bit higher, because you want to be as comfortable in this tall position as you can so that we can pick our leg up. So this is similar to what we did when we were standing up, but we're going to activate the muscles a little bit more. So we want to sit tall, we want to hook one arm under the thigh and pick the foot up away from the floor. Now when you pick the foot up away from the floor, we still want to be tall posture, we don't want to be hunched here. So a chair or some height might be what is best for you. Once you've got hold of your thigh, have a look at your foot. And similar to when we were doing our ankle stretches when we were down on the floor, I want you to turn the ankle so the sole of the foot's coming across you. And then I want you to turn the foot out as much as you can. I'm very tight here, so I don't have a lot of movement. So that the foot's turning out. But I want you to check the shin. We're going to hold on to the knee so that the shin is not doing the movement. It's the foot and ankle. We're building some strength and some connection here. Turning the foot in, turning the foot out. And we're going to add a little bit in here. So we're turning the foot in. And then we're going to extend the leg out. Okay, turn the foot out. And bend the knee back down. We turn the foot in. We extend it out. Turn the foot out. Bring it back in. Check that your posture hasn't started to collapse, and if it has, connect it. Doing that once more here. Turn it out, extend it up, turn it out, bring it down, let that foot come down to the floor, let it relax, giving any movement that it needs. And then we're going to switch to the other side. So arm hooks under, pick the thigh up, other hands resting on the leg. So we start off, can we get that ankle movement? So one ankle may move more ease than the other. Check in with the posture. And then we're turning that foot in. We're lengthening the leg out, we're turning the foot out, we're bringing it in, we're turning the foot in. So again, check it's not the shin that's doing that movement. Extend the leg out, turn the foot out, bring it in, and check the posture. And I'm saying that every time I catch myself collapsing. Right, one more time, turn the foot in, extend the leg, turn the foot out, bring it down, let it go, and give it a release. Give it some movement. Padding that up and down. Now we're going to come over onto your hands and knees if that is a comfortable enough position for you. If you get any problems with your knees, your wrists, or your shoulders, the kneeling tabletop isn't going to feel nice for you, then you can do this standing. So I'll show you the kneeling version and then I'll show you the standing version. Exercise that we have done many times before, Superman, just adding a little bit onto it. And we're only going to work the lower half of the body. So let's draw the tummy muscles in, the spine be long. If you're on your hands and knees, upper arm bones are drawn in so that the upper back muscles are activated. And that gives us strength through the joints. We're going to extend one leg out, press through the sole of the foot. Then you're going to bend to about 90 degrees and push the sole of the foot up towards the ceiling. Extend the leg out, bring it down, bring it in. So I'll show you that on the other side. Extend the leg out, lift the leg, keeping the pelvis square to the floor. Bend the knee, press the sole of the foot up towards the ceiling. Bring it down, extend it out, down, and in. So if you're doing this standing, you can do this leaning on the back of the chair or at long forearms if it's uncomfortable to be on your hands, but you could be on your hands here. Extend the leg out, keep the hips square, lift the leg, bend the knee, press up, extend the leg, slowly back down. So out, bend, push, extend, bring it down. Either of those options. If you are on your hands and knees, just have a wee check in every now and again that you don't start to push the weight forward and put pressure on the wrists. Keep the shoulders slightly behind the wrists. Extend, lift, bend, press, down, extend, bring it in. Now we're going to do this 2 more times to each side. So notice your back if your back starts to drip a lot, where's the word? Drip. Those tummy muscles stay engaged in. Bend. In, extend, down, and then. So try and stagger the movement. You're going out in stages. It doesn't, sometimes fluid movement means we miss a bit or we don't engage the muscles, but if we can do it staggered, we get slightly better engagement. And once you've done this last one, take a breather in any way that feels nice for you. And then when you're ready to, rolling yourself up. Let's come back round into a seated position. We haven't done a lot of upper body work today. It has been more down around the legs and the knees. That's the focus of today's class. But we still want to do a little bit upper. Let's come into half roll back position. Now we are not going to use the ball at the back. Today we're going to use our hands in at the back of the thighs. We're going to scoop the tummy muscles in, round the back, and come back until you feel like you're going to start to fall back to the floor. Stop there, pull the tummy muscles in, and bring yourself all the way back up. So we're using our hands in at the back of the thighs to give us a little bit of stability. Notice if you're gripping on really tight, and if you are, can you make that grip a little bit lighter? Back as far as you can, and all the way back up. Scoop the tummy muscles in, round out the spine, and then bring it up. And then again, round out that spine. And bring up. Now we're going to add rotation in, so extend one leg, arm forward, rotate round, and go back. And bring it up. And bring that hand into the back of the thigh, extend the other arm out, rotate, scoop it back, bring it up, and bring it in, up. As you're taking the arm, then you're bringing it around. Think about drawing that shoulder blade in towards the spine, so we're working the upper back muscles here. We're not floating around, we're looking for muscle activation and a sense of control. As we take it round, let's do that one more time to each side. Squeezing those upper back muscles in, bring it in, and last one. Bring it back to the centre. Now we're going to make sure that you've got enough space behind you that you can roll all the way down to lie on your back. Use your hands as much as you need to, use control as much as you can. When you come down, take the arms overhead, lengthen the legs out. Reach your fingers to one side of the room, reach your toes to the other. So we're going to slightly change the breath. As we go through our stretches, on our exhale, we're going to release and let go. Press through the soles of the feet, press through the palms. Inhale, look for some length, and exhale, release and let go. Do that for another 2 breaths. So if your hands and feet in one position felt more useful than the other, go there. And then once you've done that last one, bring the knees up into the cheeks. And rock the weight from one side of the pelvis to the other. And take a nice deep breaths in, allowing the back to expand out. Let the weight settle into the centre of the pelvis. Bring one foot down to the floor as we keep the other knee hooked in. Now I'm going to bring your pelvis into a neutral position here so that we can take our hamstring stretch and just notice how tight our hamstrings are or are not, as the case might be. Put the hands into the back of the thigh, keep the pelvis in a neutral position and start to straighten the leg up, pointing the toe. Be aware of where you feel this down the back of the leg. Check that the pelvis is still in a neutral position. On your next exhale, can you pull the toes back towards you to press through the heel and notice there where you feel the stretch in the back of the leg. If your leg's shaking, then let the knee go soft. Take an inhale and then exhale. Can you extend it again? And then we're going to bend this knee, bring the ankle down onto the opposite knee. Let the knee come out to the side. We're still going to keep the pelvis neutral. And then come into that figure of four stretch and bring the bottom foot away from the floor if you can. It might be that in neutral pelvis, that this is enough of a stretch with your foot on the floor, but it might be that you can bring that bottom foot up and maybe hold on to the bottom side. Take a deep breath in, slow exhale out. Let the foot come down. Still staying on the same leg, but take that ankle off and then let the pelvis come out of neutral. So let the lower back come into the floor, hold on to the back of the thigh. We're going back to the hamstring stretch. Straighten the leg up and just notice if this feels any different. It might feel like it pulls in slightly different places in your body. So we're just observing. Toe pointed, leg as straight as you can. On an exhale, pull the toes back. And then still keeping that pelvis out of neutral, so lower back flatter to the floor, bend the knee, ankle onto the opposite knee, and see about figure four stretch here. So depending on the angle of the pelvis, one of these might feel more beneficial than the other, one might feel easier than the other. I would always go for beneficial over ease when you're looking to untangle knots. But it should never feel painful. And we want to keep a steady breath, even when we're working with the places that are a bit less comfortable. We're still using that exhaling breath to try and release, to try and let go. When you're ready, release that down. Bring the pelvis back into a neutral position. Go for that hamstring stretch. So bring the knee into the chest. Leg lengthens out, toe pointed to the ceiling. Range of movement may be very different on this side. Where you feel it on this side might be different. On an exhale, pull the toes back. Pelvis is still in a neutral position. Use the exhaling breath to try and let go of tension. Keep that ankle flexed, keep the pelvis at neutral, bring the ankle down onto the opposite knee, and move towards your figure of four here. And this side, depending if this butt cheek is tighter or not, you may or may not be able to bring that bottom foot off the floor. Notice whatever there is to notice here. If you're finding that place of discomfort, can we use the exhaling breath to let it go? And then bringing yourself out of that, take the pelvis out of neutral, extend the leg up with the toe pointed, so lower back's flatter to the floor. Notice whatever there is to notice here. On the exhaling breath, can we flex at the ankle, bend the knee, and that figure of four with the lower back closer to the floor. Notice whatever there is to notice here. Can you keep that steady breath? And then bring that foot down to the floor. Unhook. So we're going to come over, lie on your sides just for a moment. Ear, shoulder, hip want to be in line with each other. We're going to take hold of our ankle. So bring your leg to wherever you need to get hold of your ankle. Bring the heel towards your backside and then start to move the thigh back the way. So we're trying to get stretched through the front of the hip, through the front of the thigh. If that's really uncomfortable, maybe you hold on to your trouser leg. Can you squeeze your backside and push the hips forward a little bit without thrusting the ribs forward? We still want to keep the ribs tucked in, but we want to engage the muscles of the backside to bring the hips forward to try and get this opening at the front of the hip and through the front of the thigh. And again, use your exhaling breath to release unnecessary pressure or tension. And then release that down. We're going to switch that to the other side. So you can roll yourself over or spin yourself round, whichever is easier. Ear, shoulder, hip are in line, holding onto the ankle or the shin or the foot. And then starting to move the thigh back, squeeze the backside. Can you push the hips forward without thrusting the ribs? Nice deep breaths in. Notice how tight this side is. And you use that exhale and breath to release unnecessary tension. And then release that down. From here, coming over onto your hands and knees. We'll go into threading the needle a couple of times to each side just to get some rotation in the spine. So opening out, bringing the hands through. And then opening out. So think about that breastbone turning out. And then bringing the hands through and under. Getting that upper back rotation, bring it back to center, do the same thing on the other side. Opening, bringing it under. Opening and bringing it under. Come back to center. Do a couple of cat and cow. So cat and cow on your hands and knees doesn't feel good, then you come to sitting. Round out the spine, arch the back. And here, if there's other movement that feels nice, any hip circles or shoulder circles. And then bringing your spine into a neutral position. We're going to walk our hands back. We don't need to go into hip flex or stretch again here because we've already done that line on our side when we did the quad stretch. So from here, we're going to make our way up to standing. And if you can, come up without using your hands to press you up. So step 1 foot forward. Make sure it's in a good position that we can press down. And then bring yourself up all the way up to standing. Take your arms up overhead, give yourselves a nice full body stretch. Deep breath in as you get as much length in your body as you can. And as you're breathing out, release that down. Roll out your shoulders. And then let the shoulders settle back and down. I want you to come in to your alignment, your shoulder hip, knee ankle stacked. Ribs tucked in, pelvis in neutral, chin drawn in. And just notice how you feel after you've done that mobility, you've moved things about. Hopefully the body feels easier to come into that position, even if it feels tired, that is okay. If you have any questions, please do let me know.